Good morning. Happy Friday. Friday. Or if you're listening to the replay and you're like, Cheryl, it's actually Monday. Let me make sure I'm live on Instagram. Get in a second here. Oh, let's see. Am I going to go live? Let's see if I'm going to go live. All right. I'm live on Instagram, live on Facebook, live on YouTube. How's everybody doing? Let's see if anybody pops on. Living on the edge. No, living on the veg. Oh, interesting. How is everybody doing today? Happy Friday. Got a good topic today that I'm going to talk about. A lot of you guys like to think about, or you're curious about if your hormones are impacting your body composition, your mood, your energy. And I want to talk to you guys about some sneaky hormones you might not be considering. A lot of people. All right, I'm going to jump right into it. I'm not going to even make any chit chat. It's Friday. I got a busy day. It's been a busy week. I actually probably should do a health update for you guys that are my followers to kind of let you know where I'm at with my health. But I keep wanting to save it because I'm going to be quite honest. I don't have all of the answers yet. And I will have a little bit more info after an appointment next week. But the thing about it is being somebody that is knowledgeable with things and I'm very resourceful, I've been able to put a lot of the pieces together and start to make some progress on things on my own. And that's been helpful. So it's not feeling so out of control, at least, which is awesome. So I will give you guys more of an update, but I want to wait till next week after I get that appointment taken care of. But today we're going to talk about 5 sneaky hormones that are making fat loss harder that you probably have not considered. I think that a lot of people go right to things like estrogen and cortisol and low testosterone and all of these other hormones that are usually dysregulated, but there's so many other hormones in your body. And I want you guys to understand how hormones do impact obviously body composition, but also other things going on, how your mood is, how your energy levels are, even your gut motility. And get you guys to understand what really matters, especially for you guys focused on this. If you're listening to this, you probably heard the word fat loss and we're like, yeah, that's me. I've been stuck and I think it's my hormones that are making it hard for me. You are not wrong. But I want to explain a couple of things. I'm going to start with explaining how hormones do impact fat loss. No matter what you get out of today's episode, I want you to have a true understanding of whatever hormones might be off, the same things still matter. Okay. So first and foremost, when it comes to energy balance, calorie balance, if you are eating more calories than you are burning, you are going to gain weight. If you are eating the same, equal, you're going to maintain your weight. And if you're eating less, you're going to lose weight. But I think that a lot of y'all associate that with a day-to-day thing. And it actually, fat loss doesn't happen in a day. In fat gain doesn't happen in a day. It's kind of like growing a tree, right? It starts off as a seed and you don't even see it bloom anything for a couple of days, right? Like that's kind of how fat loss happens and fat gain happens. It's happening underneath the surface and you don't see it show up on the scale until it's actually been brewing for a couple of weeks, whether it's loss or gain. Now, hormones can impact these things because it impacts your energy output. So sometimes if your hormones are dysregulated, your body will be burning less calories, doing sometimes the same things. So all of a sudden you might be somebody that's like, man, I haven't changed anything, but I'm gaining weight. That's a sign that metabolically things have, obviously your body's turning down the dials a little bit, or your body might be absorbing a different amount of calories. And this can also come down to metabolic health. So it's never just about the calories. There's other things going on, but the calories are what matter most. It's also why it's important not to always just focus on macronutrients because your body needs more than macronutrients. And in order for us to optimize your hormones, we need to look at all of those things. Okay, so I do want you to understand that when I'm talking hormones today and I'm talking about these sneaky hormones, your goal is to get your body to burn more and also to get your body to absorb the right amount of nutrients. Like that's really what we want to do. We want our body absorbing all of the nutrients from our food and we want our body burning as many calories as possible. That means we want to optimize things. That's how we have a well-functioning machine. Coffee is so good. All right. So as I mentioned, a lot of you guys very familiar with your sex hormones along with cortisol and insulin. Those are like and maybe thyroid hormones. But there are so many other hormones and those hormones together also, they're going to impact things like your hunger, your fullness, your cravings, your energy levels, how much food noise you have, how you feel. your motivation, your mood. There's so many other things going on, even your gut motility, how quickly things are moving through your gut. And if you've ever felt like you're trying so hard, but like the hunger's super hard for you, maybe you're always thinking about food, maybe you're never really satisfied. This is all where it's not just a discipline issue. I like using the word discipline, but a lot of people are like, man, I'm just like, why am I just like always thinking about food? There's hormonal stuff going on that you might not think about. Or why is it like my appetite? Like she tells me to eat in the morning, but I don't feel like eating until 11 o'clock in the morning. That's all signs of maybe some hormone dysregulation that might be impacting your metabolic health. And that's really what I want to kind of go into today. Now, the thing about this is, as I'm going through each of these hormones, I'm also going to be giving you the strategies on how to improve them, because I don't want you to think that now you need to go buy some 5-step supplement guide or, whatever, biohack your way into fixing them. You don't need to cleanse your body of any toxins. You don't need any different protocols. You don't need any restrictive diets. In fact, let me just tell you a little bit about me. I told you guys that I was going to disclose more about what's going on in my health, and I will. But if I had listened to what a lot of people typically do with some of the issues that I have been dealing with, I would not be drinking this glorious coffee right now. I would have went all in on this super restrictive diet because that's what the solution was. And I told myself from the beginning, I'm like, surely I could do that and I might feel better physically a little bit quicker. But as soon as I add things back in, the problem's going to come back. I'm not going to alleviate the symptom. I'm going to fix the problem. And that's what I'm doing. I'm getting to the root cause. And with you guys, I want you to realize all of that stuff is essentially just trying to get you to reset and restart. And I don't think that that's effective. I think it actually is just a distraction. So I want you guys focusing on how to make small changes that are going to impact you for the long haul that don't require so much upfront mental bandwidth. Okay. So let's talk about hormone number 1. Now, some of you guys may have heard of this hormone, but leptin. This is essentially your body's like energy status hormone. Okay. So leptin is produced in your fat cells. So the leaner you get, the lower your leptin levels. That's why leaner individuals do have a harder time maintaining their weight, especially if they're always trying to stay super dialed in and never allowing themselves enough food. If you're always being slightly underfed and you're super lean, your leptin levels are likely low. Your leptin basically gives your body the signals that there's enough energy stored. You don't need to keep looking for food. So it's your body's way of saying, okay, I don't need food. I'm good to go. Okay. When your leptin drops, your body starts to conserve energy and it starts looking for food. So this is where food noise does come in. You'll get more cravings, you get more hunger. Your energy might drop a little bit because your body's trying to conserve energy. And subconsciously, a lot of people with low leptin will lower their daily movement. You don't even realize it. So like right now, as I'm talking to you, I might be using my hands and picking up my cup of coffee and kind of feeling good. And I'm standing up right now. I don't want to sit. If my leptin was low, I might be very sluggish. I might be sitting down rather than standing. I might be looking for ways to take shortcuts. I want things to take less effort. And while, yeah, it's being efficient, sometimes it's also a sign of low leptin. So what are the biggest things that influence your leptin levels? Leptin levels decrease a lot from other hormonal imbalances sometimes. So like sometimes if your thyroid is off, it can impact your leptin levels. But the main drivers from a lifestyle perspective are usually too aggressive dieting or being in a deficit for too long, weight loss in general, or chronically being underfed. And when I say underfed, it's not just about calories, right? When I think it's really important that we need to talk about the fact that being underfed is not just, but I ate enough calories today. No, like being underfed is also when it's 6 o'clock in the morning and you're hungry and you're telling yourself you don't want to eat until 10 because you don't want to waste your calories. That's underfeeding yourself. Okay. So like there's things like that that are going to impact your leptin levels. And it's why it is so important to make sure that you are eating at regular times, listening to the cues that your body is giving you, because you want your body to, you don't want your body to become leptin resistant, which can actually happen. And that can be a whole nother recipe for disaster. The best way to get your body to support healthy leptin signaling is to make sure that you are spending enough time eating at actual maintenance calories, and you're actually building strategies that allow you to feed yourself throughout the day when you're hungry, even if you are super busy, right? So like if you're someone that chronically ignores your hunger because you're like in between back-to-back meetings from the hours of like 8 and 4, you need to figure out some strategies of getting some nourishment in between meetings, however you can do that. Okay. You want to avoid big swings in your calories, going from like a hypocaloric state to a hypercaloric state. You want to make sure that whenever you're making adjustments, that you're not going so far off a baseline. It's why I don't recommend just jumping into an online calculator when you're looking for a fat loss plan, that you should actually take a food audit first to see where your baseline is before making an aggressive change, whether more or less. You always want to know where you're at. And focus on a sustainable fat loss plan rather than an aggressive one, which is kind of what I already said. You don't have to drop your calories so much to lose weight. Minimum effective dose is the goal. It's why I try and pull away as little as possible. So sometimes the best solution to getting you actually to feel more in control of your food and being in a more effective deficit is to not be so aggressive in it, and to stop trying to just rely on like, I'm going to get through this phase and then I'm going to deal with that. Like, no, we want to fix this first. Okay. The second hormone is kind of like the antagonist for leptin, and that's called ghrelin. Okay. Ghrelin is essentially the hunger hormone. It is produced by the stomach, and it basically gives your body the signal like, hey, it's time to eat. We need to eat something right now. So whereas leptin tells your body, I've had enough, ghrelin's like, hey, we need some food. So ghrelin is going to increase when your body actually is looking for nourishment. You're going to have an increase in hunger. Food becomes more appealing. You just start to want it. Cravings increase. And when ghrelin is off, you're going to end up having a harder time being in a calorie deficit because your body is constantly looking for food. Okay. Ghrelin is directly impacted a lot by sleep. So sleep is a big one. So whenever you're sleep deprived, you're going to see a rise in that. Again, chronic dieting, if you've recently lost weight, or if you're somebody who skips meals regularly. So if you're skipping meals a lot, you will see an influence and an increase in your ghrelin levels. So obviously the counter to this, I'm going to be honest, is like, you got to sleep. Sleep is so underrated. Okay. Not even just for fat loss, but for everything. Okay. Your sleep is when your body is doing all of the work it can't do while you are thinking and while you are working throughout the day. If you're avoiding your sleep habits, that is probably part of the problem. Okay. So we want to make sure we are getting in enough sleep. You want to also take a look at regular eating patterns. So the longer you go between meals, the higher your ghrelin levels are going to be. So you want to make sure you figure out the right cadence for you. I know when my ghrelin's getting high. I know when it's time to eat. I know what hangry feels like. I know how to eat just before I get there. I know how to do work with anticipated hunger. If I know I'm going to be hungry or hangry in 30 minutes and I don't want to wait because I have to go somewhere, I'm going to eat a little bit early. I'm going to get that hunger taken care of before I leave the house. Okay. So we want to prioritize sleep, regular eating, and again, avoiding overall aggressive calorie deficits. Another key thing about ghrelin, ghrelin is actually very responsive to a high protein diet. That's why a lot of people will increase their protein in a deficit, even if it's not necessary. Okay. So like we can talk about essential protein and optimal protein, but then also understanding the importance of how some people that are in a deficit find that ghrelin is harder to control. Being on a higher protein diet, even if it is overshooting, can sometimes silence that a little bit, and vice versa. If you're somebody struggling to eat enough, oftentimes lowering your protein intake, because a lot of people in that category tend to feel safe with protein and they're not getting enough carbs and fats. So sometimes lowering protein will actually increase your ghrelin levels for those populations. Okay, so that's another hormone to talk about. Next hormone, peptide YY. We're going to talk about peptides. You guys do know that peptides are naturally occurring amino acids in your body, right? Even like the GLP-1s, your body can make that. It does produce it. So that's just making it a little bit more potent, okay? But we got peptide YY, which is your body's fullness hormone, okay? This one is released after you're eating, and it tells your brain we've eaten enough. It makes your body feel full. It reduces appetite. You feel more satisfied. And it's kind of like you start to lose the desire to eat. It's like, so if you didn't come from the clean plate club like me, where everything goes down the hatchet, you're that person that like, you're 3/4 of the way through the plate and you're like, I'm kind of good right now, but you're going to finish it. That's peptide YY. It's sneaking in to tell you, all right, we're good. This one is strongly influenced by meal balance, protein, fiber, and just getting enough of all the nutrients on your plate. Weakening of it happens typically from a lot of ultra processed foods. So like really small, low fiber, carb and fat sources. lacking volume in your meals. So this one is essentially going to help work with like your stomach wall and your stomach lining to actually make your body give the signals like, oh, we're getting full. Like we're sensitive right now. We're definitely expanding. We don't want to be putting too much in. And this is what's going to really help with that. So you want to have good food volume. You want to make sure that you have protein every meal. And honestly, aside from just fiber, okay, I think that when I say fiber, y'all go right to vegetables. You need vegetables and fruits at your meals, but they're usually not the best source of fiber, vegetables in particular. Some fruits are, like berries, apples, pears, really high in fiber, avocados. But most vegetables are not like a large source of fiber, like you're going to get like 2 or 3 grams, but you do want them as part of your meals. This is going to increase satiety. Okay, so we want protein on board, we want fiber on board, we want plenty of fruits and vegetables. Also, what I want you guys to hear so far from this one in particular is this, again, is not just about macros. You have to be looking at the types of foods you're consuming because your body is responding on a hormonal level to what you're putting in, not just from a macronutrient perspective. Okay. All right. Oh my God, I cannot say this one. I'm going to try and butcher it, not butcher it. Oh, I feel like I need one of those, where they spell it out for you and you can like pronounce it. I know what is CCK, but I'm going to try and not butcher it. Cholecystokinin. Cholecystokinin. If you just heard me say that and you are smarter than me, I just want you to tell me, Cheryl, you're cute, but that was not how you say it. It's totally fine. We're going to call it CCK. All right. So I didn't listen to somebody say it 5 times before I said it. So you're going to get my pronunciation of it. And for all of you guys out there, I want you to know it's just CCK. Just remember it as that. This one is released from your small intestines as soon as food starts to enter the digestive tract. And essentially it's going to help signal fullness and it helps with aiding in digestion. Okay. So it slows down your stomach, it slows down the emptying of your stomach. Fullness increases, appetite decreases, and your meals become more satisfying. That's like the main thing that it does. The primary drivers of CCK are protein and dietary fat. So this is where a lot of people who have spent years and years and years on a very low fat diet have very weak CCK signaling, along with a low protein diet. Okay, so even those of you guys, if you're listening to this and you're like on a GLP-1, I want you to be hearing all this shit and realize the majority of my clients are not on GLP-1s. But if you are somebody on one, I want you to hear this and like take this stuff away and freaking run with it. All right, I'm giving you the hacks. All right. So this one, you want to include lots of healthy fats, build meals around protein, and the main thing is like stop fearing dietary fat. Now, what I want to say here is there is a school of women who are very protective of their fats. Like, I need all my fats. I need all my fats. Okay. Fats are very calorie dense. All right. So we have to stop looking at fat grams and looking at the calories from fats in your diet. Big difference. Okay. So for instance, 60 grams of fats and 60 grams of carbs are 2 very different things calorically. 60 grams of carbs is only 240 calories. 60 grams of fat is 540 calories, I think, right? 60 times 30, no, 520 calories. I can't even count in my head. 60 grams of fat, no, 540 calories. I was right, because 9 times 6, yeah. I did the math right in my head. I thought it was good. See, I'm a mathematician, just not a pronunciation person. So I did great in math, not in English. But yeah, you want to realize that it's the calories consumed from it, and you want to have a balance of where your nutrients are coming from at your meals. So like, I like to say equal part calories from fats and fats and carbs. So if you're getting 300 calories from carbs, like try and get about 300 calories from fats. That's a great way to build a balanced meal. It's going to give you a good return for your hormones. Okay. So that's the other one for you. So we want to make sure we are getting enough fat in our diet. Now, the final one, and the cool thing about this one is this one has more to do with what you're doing in the gym, which is awesome, right? Another one I'm going to probably butcher. Adiponectin, okay? This is your body's metabolic support hormone, okay? This one is produced by fat tissue, and it does help with regulating insulin levels. So it makes you more insulin sensitive, glucose metabolism, and also fat metabolism. This one matters because if this one is optimized, you have better overall metabolic health. So as I mentioned in the beginning, calories in, calories out matter. This is what's going to help your body actually utilize the calories that you're consuming for energy. Okay. So like we can both be doing the same workout, but my body is going to be burning more than yours is based on how healthy my hormones are. Okay. So we want to optimize this. What influences this? Here's the cool thing. All right. Regular exercise, resistance training are two things that are going to have the biggest bang for your buck on adiponectin. Okay. Other things is just improving your insulin sensitivity overall by monitoring your calorie intake and also getting into a good healthy body composition over time. Those things are going to have a high impact or a return for you for adiponectin. Negative influences on this one. All right. If you're carrying extra body fat, this one's down regulated. If you're very sedentary, so even if you are doing CrossFit 5 or 6 days a week, if your 30-minute Metcon in the morning is the only time you're getting off your ass all day, you have a sedentary lifestyle. I don't care how hard you work in the gym. Okay. You can be a strong ass power lifter, right? And still have a lot of metabolic issues because you're only working out for, lifting weights. It's the same thing with CrossFit. You guys have got to be looking at movement outside of the gym. In fact, CrossFit methodology is built around you guys being more active in life, not just in the gym. That's for a whole other podcast. So how do you support it? You want to be lifting weights. You want to be keeping yourself active, moving around as much as you can. And it's crazy because whenever I focus on steps, I want you to know that if you're listening to this, you're one of my clients, it's not so much about the steps you're taking. It's how much are you moving throughout the day? And the steps just register with that. So, and if you want to get the credit for them and you're like, but I don't think it's registering, put that freaking watch on your wrist or on your ankle, or on a shoelace or something like that. It will register better. I've known that that's happened for clients if you're worried about that, but just be conscious of it. You don't need to obsess about your steps. You just want to know how much are you standing versus sitting throughout the day. Right now I'm standing up because I don't like sitting all day. It makes me feel tired. I feel more tired when I slow down. Okay. It's the whole thing about when you stop moving, you start dying. That's how I feel in my day. So you want to stay active, improving your metabolic health, and obviously focusing on long-term body composition changes. So guys, body composition changes are not just about how you look. Obviously we want to look a certain way, but your body composition also regulates your hormones. Having the right amount of body fat on your body is also giving your body signals, right? Too much body fat or too little, your hormones are going to be out of whack. All right. So the key takeaway for this one is making sure that you are getting regular exercise and moving throughout the day. And those are kind of the 5 hormones. So these hormones are ones you guys have probably never even considered. And you really can't take a supplement to fix them. I mean, I guess you probably could inject yourself with some peptide at this point and probably get something, but it's not going to fix the little things that you guys can do. And what I want you to hear from this is what you should be focusing on and what you want to be removing from your dietary practice. Okay. I know you want to lose body fat. Okay. But dieting is not the answer. Under eating, saving calories, not the answer. Skipping meal, not the answer. Worrying about, eating too many carbs or fats is not the answer. We need to have balance of all of these things. Your body cannot live on caffeine and cortisol. You need to be getting enough nutrients. Okay. So you need to be getting enough sleep. I know this is the boring shit that you guys don't want to hear, but let me tell you this. All right. If you're hearing all of this and you're like, but that's all I've known. That's all that works for me. Okay. Let me ask you this. How do you feel? If that's all that works for you, how do you feel right now? Let's just be really honest, because if this is what it takes for you to get to where you want to be, how are you actually showing up in your life? I don't think any results are worth the amount of mental and physical distress that a lot of these things cause on a lot of you guys. So I think that learning how to find a more balanced approach is what most people need. And that usually comes with the uncomfortable feelings of knowing that you're making changes that are not going to give you an instant dopamine hit, meaning you're not going to step on the scale tomorrow and be like, I'm down 2 pounds. And you're going to be doing work and not even know if it's actually going to give you any return for 3 weeks. That's what real sustainable results looks like. So here is what I want you guys to take away from today. All right. When you guys are looking to optimize hormones, it's not about optimizing hormones in isolation. All of your hormones work together. All of them. It's an ecosystem. You can't just focus on one and not impact the other. And a lot of times there's carryover in what you do for each of these hormones. Same thing as I mentioned to me. I don't know 100% what's going on with my health, but I do know that a lot of the things it could be all have an overarching theme. And I can work at what are the common denominators that would improve all of those things. And I'm focusing on those things. And that's what I want you guys to take away from this today. So the answer that you're looking for is usually not going to be found in trying to diet harder. Okay. It's not going to be found in looking for supplements. Please do not fall victim to all of the women telling you that CrossFit ruined their body and you should get on my make yourself whatever freaking peptide scheme, whatever that is. All of that shit does not help you at all, nearly as much as these basics will. All right. So we want to make sure that you're building balanced meals, plenty of protein, equal calories from carbs and fats. Like that's simple, like simple things you guys can be doing that even if you're not tracking your food can give you some return here. You want to be getting good quality sleep. I get it. Y'all are very busy. I'm very busy. I had a shitty night of sleep last night. But my rule of thumb is like, if I've had 3 bad nights of sleep, something's wrong, especially if I have like not intentionally stayed up late. It wasn't like I was just up late watching Netflix. It was like I just couldn't sleep. Probably need a little bit of recovery. Okay. So there's probably extra stressors in my life and I need to give myself some time. Okay. So like you have to realize that sleep matters and having a couple of nights of sleep bad over the week isn't going to mess you up. But if you're chronically sleep deprived, like you are that person that is 4 hours of sleep every single night, that is going to give you a negative impact on your hormones. Making sure that you guys are doing resistance training, whether it's in CrossFit, whether it's bodybuilding, your own general physical functional fitness, whatever it is, you are doing regular resistance training. And resistance training looks different for everybody. In fact, funny enough, today I had programmed Bulgarian jumping split squats. I didn't use any weights for them and they were hard. They were challenging. I was like, man, you don't even need weights for this shit. So regular resistance training, making sure that you're not doing any drastic calorie changes, knowing where your maintenance calories are. And if you are going into a fat loss phase, you're doing it with the minimum effective dose, a way that your body's going to respond metabolically. In fact, in a fat loss phase, you should feel a little bit better. Like you should feel like you're in a good place when you are, especially when you're first starting, like the first 8 to 12 weeks, you should be like, oh man, I feel good. Like your energy should actually increase because your body is actually trying to tap into those fat stores, and that will cause some metabolic changes that will actually increase energy a little bit. So, and then also making sure that you are spending enough time, if not the majority of your time, learning what maintenance looks like and maintaining your body, because this is really about one of the things I wrote down here is, if I can say this the right way. If you want to lose body fat, it's less about the diet and more about creating an environment that makes fat loss happen as a side effect. And that's what I wanted to say. And I said it the way that I wanted to, because I think it's so easy to get focused on calories and macros and meal prep and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, all of that is great. Yes, we need to control calories, but there's so much going on from a physiological standpoint that is going to impact your adherence, what your body's going to do with the energy you're taking in. So we want to do the best we can to support an environment that's going to produce the impact that your body needs to be able to burn body fat. So I'm going to hop over to see if anybody has any questions or anything like that. Jeffrey Birchfield, Grella makes you grow. I love that. Did you guys have any questions about anything that I talked about today? Any questions on things I did not talk about today? If anybody is still watching. All right. I will give health update next week. I kind of want to wait until I get this last appointment taken care of before I say anything. But thank you guys all for watching. If you guys have any topics that you would love to have me talk about, please shoot me a DM or shoot me a message. Would love some ideas on what are some of the things that you guys have on your mind when it comes to nutrition, training, life, all the things. Competing in CrossFit, competing in High Rocks, whatever you got, throw it at me. Until next episode, guys. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend.